After being stuck at home for so many months because of the coronavirus, I felt like I needed to get out and spread my wings a little bit. So I followed my spirit and I packed my car up and I decided to leave Kentucky and take a road trip. I learned a long time ago that sometimes you just have to grab opportunity when it comes along. Yellowstone was opening a few of their campsites. I decided to secure a few of those spots and take a little adventure. The first 5 minutes of this video will just be some highlights of some things I saw on the way there, while I was there, and on the way home. After those highlights, I'm gonna start all over from the beginning of my journey and go through my whole video journal. I hope you enjoy this as much as I did. The water features of Wyoming, and specifically Yellowstone, are absolutely exhilarating. They were all different and full of energy and movement and power. It was just overwhelmingly exciting. I loved being able to look down at waterfalls, looking up at waterfalls, but I especially loved being right next to the waterfall. The geological diversity of this area is mind-blowing. It was great seeing the wildlife in their natural habitat. The best part was finding all these amazing places to sit and be at peace. Experiencing complete serenity. Being out in that big giant world can really help us find perspective and embrace freedom. Hello. So some of my friends have been asking me like how I camp out of the car, and this is actually my official first trip, even though I've had a couple trial runs. So I've had this car 2 years, and the reason I bought it was to camp out of it, and I haven't really done it on a big trip. So this is my first big trip. So as you can see, it is packed to the hilt, but I'm gone for 2 weeks, so I need a lot of stuff, right? So I have behind the seat, I have a hammock stand, because instead of a tent, I'll be sleeping in the car, but I like to have my hammock, and you can't always put your hammock up in trees. So this is a handy bag framework for the hammock. And then I have a bag chair. I have my water jug here. I get fresh water out of that. Refill my water bottles or my canteen. I have an umbrella, big umbrella if I need it. I have my yoga mats because I plan to teach a little bit. My hammock is under there. So everything is packed in tight. Under the seat, I have jumper cables and like snow removal. I will be going to the mountains, so you never know. Like a scraper and stuff. I have a mat to lay down on the ground if I need to change clothes and it's muddy, and lay that mat down. And then from the back, I have everything camping wise in this container, and that one is long like the car, and when I go to sleep I'll take that out and slide it under the car. And then in here I have like equipment for teaching class. And then these are my blankets to keep them clean. I have a cooler with food. And so I keep the bed free. That way when I'm ready to, I'm tired, I've been driving a long time, I'm ready to lay down, there's not much to do but just crawl back there and go to sleep. So I have a little lantern, I have backup drinking water, I have about 6 gallons here. I have under this seat, I have cans of Pop Top soup, and I have hiking boots, an extra water canteen, and the front seat is all like my essentials. So I know where my food is. My food's all right here, you know, that's super important. I have just some extra essentials. I have my clothes, and I have things for hygiene, cleaning, taking a shower, but also because it's 2020, I have like my Lysol spray, wipes, hand sanitizer, all that stuff for keeping myself clean while I travel and being able to sanitize. So then in every door, if you can see that, I have like the sunblock, bug spray, just stuff like that you need kind of handy when you're getting ready to go out and hike. So that is how I packed my car. And now we're ready to head out, so we'll see. My first stop would be in St. Louis. I found a park that is right across from the Arch. This is a great park to get some pictures of the Arch. It's a big open field, and the other end I think was a ball field. There's seating behind me you can see in tiers, and then over in the corner you can kind of see a walkway where you can go up to get higher to get some good pictures. I chose this to teach a class live for Facebook and to get some great yoga pics. That park is called Malcolm W. Martin Memorial Park. Back on the road, I was headed to Kansas City. My destination was the Nelson Atkins Museum of Art. Here's a leg exercise to do while I tell you about this museum. The grounds of this museum are just beautiful. There are lots of sculptures around the park. There always seems to be people sitting around relaxing, reading books. There are even other people out there working out. You just can't see them from this video. The museum is known for its encyclopedic collection of art from nearly every continent and culture, especially for its extensive collection of Asian art. I toured the inside of this art museum several years ago. It is definitely worth a visit here. You can spend all day just in this one spot, whether you're relaxing out in the gardens, walking through the sculpture park, or perusing the art on the inside. While I was there, I talked to a local couple who told me about a park diagonally across the street called that Kaufman Legacy Park. They said it has amazing gardens. I looked it up and it is definitely on my to-do list for my next trip to Kansas City. I drove a couple more hours to a nature preserve area. This is where I stayed the night next to this lake. Back on the road for day 2. I was halfway there. The drive started to get boring with just highway and open fields. I found myself getting distracted by any little thing that seemed halfway interesting. I pulled off the interstate several times just to have a break and to look at something different. I drove and drove and drove. This part of the drive was so boring. I felt like I was never going to get there. It was really hard to do by myself. I alternated between listening to books on tape and listening to music. I found a campground for the second night. I was only a few hours away, but I was getting so tired and it was getting really dark. Since I didn't know the area, I thought it would be safer to go ahead and sleep at a campground that night and get up fresh in the morning. One thing that I thought was crazy was all the insects hitting my windshield, especially as it got darker driving through all those farmlands. In the next clip, you'll see my windshield the next morning after I left the campsite. I could barely see through it. Once I got that windshield clean, I was in my final hours of the drive. I was getting excited. This was an easy part of the drive. The scenery kept changing and that helped. I had more and more to look at as I entered Wyoming. Coming up is a video that I sent to family and friends, letting them know how the trip went on the way out. It kind of recaps everything I've said in this video, but at the end there was a funny thing that happened, so you might want to listen all the way to the end. In the next video, I'll start getting into my videos of Yellowstone and Grand Tetons.
Every step and every breath can be an opportunity for joy and happiness. The foundation of all mindfulness practice is to bring our attention to our in-breath and out-breath. This is called mindfulness of breathing, or conscious breathing. It's very simple, but the effect can be very great.
I am getting excited. Look at those mountains. So I believe that is the Grand Tetons. From the south. Hey, so check out this mountain range here. It's called the Wind River Range. It's like to the east of the Grand Tetons and south of Yellowstone. And I pulled over to take a break from all the driving and just to take in that beautiful mountain range. So I'm really excited to be getting this close. I'm only about 40 minutes, 50 minutes away from the place I'm staying, like the first actual space. It's just amazing out here how beautiful it is. So an update on how the whole trip went. I left Sunday morning. I stopped in St. Louis. I taught a class across from the Arch. I drove to Kansas City. I went to the Museum of Art. I left Kansas City and then I kept driving, and every time I would stop to try to find a campground, everything was taken. And so I just kept kind of looking on the map and looking on road signs, and I finally saw this place that was like a conservation area, and it had 5 campsites, and I thought, well, it's worth a shot. There was no way to call, so I just drove to it. It was right off the interstate, just right off the exit, and luckily there was a spot, and I stayed the night there. And it was a little scary because it was so dark, and I couldn't really see anything by the time I got there. It was dark, but the lightning bugs were amazing. It was like a sparkle show. It was so nice. And it was quiet, and I slept fine. Everything was fine. Woke up, I drove. I piddled around so much yesterday. I stopped and saw where Buffalo Bill's house was. I stopped and saw the first Pony Express. I dipped down into Colorado on the interstate. So I just messed around, and it felt like I drove like 4 hours, but in reality, I think I drove 10. And so the first day I drove 11, the second day 10, and I couldn't decide whether just to push through the last 3 hours and drive in the middle of the night and go to the cabin where I have the reservation for tonight, because she said I could come early, that she's leaving space between the reservations because of COVID. And so she said I was welcome to come early. And then I thought, gosh, it's just getting so late. So I was able to find a campground, and I pulled up, and it was already closed, but they had all the information right there, and I was able to like go to the bathroom and take a shower and pay. I'll just leave the payment, and that was great. There was nobody around me in the tent area. The whole RV section was full, which was, just like 10 feet away. It wasn't that far away. And like when I was sleeping, I rolled over on my key, and the alarm of the car went off, and it went off for a whole minute. I swear, it was so long, and I couldn't find the key, even though I hooked the key right by me so that I would be able to find it in an emergency, or just be able to find it in general. And I couldn't find it. I was tangled up in the blankets, and I was like wrestling around, and I'm only like in a 2.5 foot section. I'm like, oh my god, what am I gonna do? Like, I was trying to get out of my sleeping bag and find the key, and I finally found it, and I sat up and hit my head, and I finally got the thing turned off, and I was like, oh my gosh, these people are gonna hate me so much. And later I was sitting out there, and I'm sitting right across from the bathrooms where everybody comes to the bathroom, and I'm looking around, and there's all these trucks. There's not one car. All these trucks are pulling these RVs, and they that they knew it was my car that had the alarm, because it's like this cute little beep beep, where those trucks have those great big honking horns. So it was so funny. It was so funny because they all knew it was me, and they would go to the bathroom and just look at me, and I'd be like, oh, hey, like, it's so embarrassing. It was terrible. But anyway, they all got an early morning wake up call, and they all got out of there early and on the road. That's the only good thing good way to look at it, right? So I woke up this morning, I did a couple hours of work, and got on the road again, and I'm getting really close, and I'm getting really excited about the mountain range. And so pretty soon I'll be there, and I'll get to settle in for a couple nights and relax after a long drive, and I'll work all day tomorrow through video, and hopefully it'll all be great. I think it will be. This is the view from the Airbnb that I rented. It's a nice little house, and as you can see, it sits up high where you can see for miles around. It's quite beautiful. The sunset Doesn't look like it's going to disappoint, even though it sets on the other side of the hill. I love the way this valley looks. All the houses out there. And this ridge line over here is neat, I think, on the other side. It's like, almost looks like a bowl. It was a great place to teach class and do yoga. I am at Fremont Lake in Wyoming, and you can see how beautiful it is. Right past these hills here are the snow-capped mountains, and you can see a paddleboarder out there. I didn't bring my paddleboard, but I'm sure that is great fun being out there. The water is very clear here. You can get down there and see that. See how clear it is. You can see a boat out there. So, Fremont Lake. You have to drive through the Lake Fremont campground to get to the actual lake. This would be a great place to stay. Little house I rented, a little Airbnb, and you can see the view and the horse out there in the field. Just an awesome thing to wake up to. But I've been sitting here looking at the maps and trying to decide when I leave here today, driving through the Grand Tetons, like trying to decide what trail to take. Found some notes in the All Trails app, which I love that app. There are notes in there from other people, and there's a guy that maybe lived around the area for a long time, but he put in there a bunch of notes, and he said that you can go onto this trail called String Lake Trail to access the Hidden Falls for a more quiet route, because the Hidden Falls route is so heavily trafficked by people, and kind of my whole point with the COVID is to stay away from people, right? So I decided I'm going to take String Lake Trail to Hidden Lake Trail, and I'm going to go ahead and pack a big backpack for the whole day, because if I feel good about it, I'm going to go ahead and do the Cascade Canyon also, which that total could be about 12 miles. So I'm going to prepare for a long hike today. Even if I take a short hike, then that's fine. Hey, so I'm almost ready to go on my first hike, and I'm going to go into the Grand Tetons. I've got my bag stuff laid out here. I've got my backpack cleaned out and ready. I have my hiking poles. I have a food in that red bag to help seal out some of the smell, I hope. A little dry towel there in that a little pouch. I have emergency Band-Aids, stuff like that. Water, coat, hat, gloves. I have some emergency stuff here. I have like a bear bell, a compass, a whistle, a flashlight, a lighter, Kleenexes, a candle, a magnifying glass, extra batteries for this, and my headlamp, and then a mirror, my wallet, which I shouldn't need that, but I need to take it with me, I guess, and then tripod and band, speaker, and extra phone for recording classes, and then my drinks that I like to have, my Crystal Light type drinks I like to have with my lunch, That's a taser there. And then sunblock and bug spray. So all I have to do is pack that in the bag. I repacked the car. I was hoping to not have to go to a store by having all my food and my water and everything that I would need already in the car and ready. But I reorganized the car a couple days ago. My water jug fell out, my big thing that kept the water cold, and so I had to go to Walmart and I had to buy this great big thing, but it holds 3 gallons of water. So I'm camping for the next 3 nights, so I should have enough cold water to make it through that. I did buy some fresh fruit there, and everything else I have is non-perishable, so I should be good for a few days. And I picked a trail that doesn't have a lot of people on it. I'm gonna still get to a main area, but without having to expose myself to a lot of people. So I thought about this like pretty well, about packing the food, having it all here so I didn't have to stop. It saves money to not stop at restaurants. It reduces my exposure, and I eat healthier when I already have my food. So I've done pretty well. I haven't had to go to too many stores or expose myself to too many people, just stopping at gas. And then I had to make that Walmart trip. And when I found Taco John's, I was like, how can you not stop at Taco John's? So I had to stop at Taco John's. So we'll see how the day goes.
Walking meditation is like eating. With each step, we nourish our body and our spirit. When we walk with anxiety and sorrow, it's a kind of junk food. The food of walking meditation should be of a higher quality. Just walk slowly and enjoy a banquet of peace. Not to waste a single drop, because there are so many people in the world who don't have enough to drink. Water flows from high mountains. Water runs deep in the earth. Miraculously, water comes to us and sustains all life. While brushing your teeth, you can make a vow to use loving speech with this gata. Brushing my teeth and rinsing my mouth, I vow to speak purely and lovingly, and we can live our entire day in awareness. Practice. When you turn on the water faucet, look deeply and see how precious the water is. The practice of stopping is crucial. How do we stop? We stop by means of our in-breath, our out-breath, and our step. That is why our basic practice is mindful breathing and mindful walking.
This is the Hoback River. It's along 191 up into the Grand Tetons. And I want to come back and paddleboard this. I've been watching it the whole drive, and it's just constant movement like this. Now as we get down this valley, it gets a little faster, a little bit more rapids, but for the most part, most of it's just been moving water, not too many rapids. So that's the Hoback River. Came down for a little closer look. So this is called Lewis Canyon. You see it down there. Lewis Canyon. This is the top of Lewis Canyon, and it is amazing. Wow, look at that. It's far down there too. This is my campsite in the Grant campground. I drove through the Tetons, and it was like a giant cloud was sitting on the whole area. Couldn't even hardly see the mountains. It was just raining, not pouring, but just constant rain. And instead of getting out in the rain and hiking or waiting it out, when I looked at the weather forecast, it said 7 p.m. So I decided to go ahead and drive up here to Yellowstone to my campsite and just kind of figure out where that was. And the rest of the day it's supposed to be rain, so I think I'm just going to drive around in the car and look around and not hike today. It's very chilly, really cold here, but the next few days that I'm at this campground, it should be sunny and nice, so just hope for better weather tomorrow. I'm driving around Yellowstone and it started raining harder and it started hailing, so I pulled off just to kind of wait that out. And this one should know it's 48 degrees. It's so cold. I'm so looking forward to tomorrow where it'll be 75.